Big dig is getting underway in Poland in search of a mystery train filled with treasures.
A once thriving city, alive with merchants, priests, and the footsteps of pharaohs, vanished beneath the sea and remained hidden for over 12 centuries. Beneath the waves of the Mediterranean, the secrets of ancient Egypt slept undisturbed, their stories waiting to resurface. These treasures belong to two legendary cities, long dismissed as myths until the sea gave them back. Picture this: bustling streets where Egyptians and Greeks walked shoulder to shoulder, majestic temples where pharaohs claimed their divine power, and grand harbors where ships unloaded riches from across the ancient world. Now imagine all of it lying silent, deep below the ocean, perfectly preserved in time, ready to reveal its breathtaking truth. Stay till the end, because the final discovery will send shivers down your spine. Before Alexandria rose to glory as Egypt's coastal jewel, there was another city that ruled the waves, a place known as Thonis-Heracleion. For centuries, it was nothing more than a ghost whispered about in ancient scrolls. Greek historians wrote of it. Egyptian papyri mentioned it briefly, yet no one could ever find it. The city had vanished completely, leaving behind no trace. Many began to think it was pure legend, like Atlantis or El Dorado, but stories persisted. The Greek historian Herodotus spoke of a magnificent temple in this lost city, the very place where Helen of Troy and Paris supposedly sought refuge during their fateful flight. Egyptian texts spoke of sacred ceremonies where pharaohs were crowned by the priests of Amun. These weren't random tales. They painted a picture of a powerful city, a crossroads of civilizations, and Egypt's vital gateway to the Mediterranean. But one question haunted archaeologists for generations. How could an entire metropolis simply disappear? We're not talking about a small fishing village. This was one of the busiest ports of the ancient world. Greek and Phoenician ships once crowded its docks. Merchants traded exotic goods. Priests conducted rituals in colossal temples. And yet, it was gone. For more than 1,000 years, Thonis-Heracleion's location remained one of the greatest mysteries of archaeology. Treasure hunters scoured Egypt's coastlines. Scholars argued over maps. Some believed it lay buried beneath modern-day Alexandria. Others doubted it had ever existed at all. Over the centuries, Egypt's shoreline changed dramatically. Earthquakes, floods, and shifting sands erased landmarks and rewrote geography. And to make matters more confusing, the Greeks and Egyptians had called this same city by different names. The Egyptians knew it as Thonis, while the Greeks called it Heracleion, after the hero Hercules. That dual identity baffled historians for centuries. Were there two cities, or just one with two names? The truth would only surface when someone finally found proof beneath the Mediterranean's blue veil. Enter the explorer who refused to quit. In the year 2000, a French underwater archaeologist named Franck Goddio decided to chase what others had given up on. Unlike most archaeologists who dig in the sand, Goddio searched history's secrets beneath the sea. Trained in mathematics and statistics, he saw archaeology not as a guessing game, but as a puzzle to be solved with precision. After years of research, Goddio focused on the canopic mouth of the Nile, once a bustling route to the sea. But 2,000 years of shifting terrain had buried everything. Finding the lost city would require science, technology, and relentless determination. With his team at the European Institute for Underwater Archaeology, Goddio launched an ambitious mission to Abukir Bay, a few kilometers off today's Egyptian coast. They weren't diving blind. They had the best tools modern science could offer. Using sonar scanners, magnetometers, and multi-beam echo sounders, they mapped the sea floor with stunning accuracy. Before setting foot in the water, they studied every ancient map, every clue from Greek historians, and every geological report showing how the coastline had shifted. This wasn't a treasure hunt for gold, it was a quest for truth. The data began to reveal something extraordinary: hidden shapes, structures, paths of ancient canals. The technology acted like X-ray vision for the ocean floor. But technology alone doesn't solve mysteries, passion does. Gaudio's team combined science with sheer human determination, and soon they would prove that legends sometimes aren't legends at all. They're just waiting patiently beneath the sea for someone brave enough to find them, the moment that changed everything. Picture the tension on board the research vessel, the air thick with anticipation, as sleek underwater drones slipped into the dark waters of Abukir Bay. Their powerful lights cut through the murky depths, illuminating clouds of drifting sand. On the monitors, the team watched in silence. At first, the screens showed nothing but emptiness. From the shadows, colossal stone blocks began to take shape, not random formations, but deliberate structures, perfectly aligned, crafted by human hands, and they were massive, the kind of blocks used only in temples or monumental buildings. The remotely operated vehicle inched closer. The cameras revealed carved surfaces and faint hieroglyphs etched into stone, details that matched descriptions from ancient records. Every person aboard froze, hearts pounding. They knew they had stumbled upon something monumental. Moments like this define archaeology. They bring equal parts excitement and restraint, that delicate balance between "we've found it" and "we must be absolutely sure." So the team got to work. Every measurement was taken, every angle photographed. Samples were carefully gathered for later analysis. And then came the moment of truth. Half buried in the silt, the cameras revealed a towering stone stele, a monumental slab covered in hieroglyphic inscriptions. Divers brushed away centuries of marine growth, and the name emerged clear as day: Thonis-Heracleion. The myth was real. The lost city had finally been found. As the survey expanded, the magnitude of the discovery became staggering. What lay beneath wasn't just a temple or a cluster of ruins. It was an entire metropolis, sprawling across several square kilometers of seabed. Streets, shrines, docks, and canals, all resting under 45 meters of seawater. The Mediterranean had acted like a time capsule, sealing the city in near-perfect preservation. News of the discovery sent shockwaves across the archaeological world. For centuries, Thonis-Heracleion had been dismissed as legend. Now, the ocean itself had delivered proof that the stories were true. The ancient writers hadn't exaggerated. They had documented a reality lost to time, but finding it was only the beginning. Over the following years, Frank Gaudio's team returned to the site again and again. Each dive unveiled new treasures, artifacts so well preserved they seemed untouched by time. The scale and richness of what they recovered surpassed all expectations. Among the most astonishing finds was a colossal statue of Hapi, the Egyptian god of the Nile's floodwaters, a red granite giant standing over 5 meters tall. Hapi represented life, fertility, and abundance, the sacred forces that nourished Egypt. Discovering such a monumental figure revealed the immense religious and political power of this city. Constructing and transporting statues of this size demanded vast resources and incredible craftsmanship. Alongside Hapi, divers uncovered 2 monumental statues, a Ptolemaic king and queen, each carved from pink granite and standing nearly 5 meters high. These were portraits of Egypt's Greek rulers after Alexander the Great's conquest, blending Egyptian symbolism with Greek artistic flair. Every line, every curve of their features carried messages of divine authority and royal grandeur. But it wasn't just the monumental that captivated the researchers, it was the intimate. Thousands of smaller objects emerged from the seabed, exquisite gold jewelry once worn by priests and noblewomen, bronze ritual vessels used in ancient ceremonies, elegant ceramics imported from distant lands, and silver coins bearing the faces of rulers long forgotten. Each artifact was a whisper from the past, a fragment of life from a city that had once pulsed with commerce, worship, and cultural exchange. The inscribed objects were especially revealing. Stone decrees helped reconstruct Egypt's diplomatic ties with foreign powers. Temple engravings illuminated sacred rituals. Even humble pottery fragments, marked with scribbled notes or trade labels, offered insights into everyday life. Every piece of writing was a key, unlocking one more part of the city's forgotten story. And perhaps most fascinating of all was the evidence of cultural fusion. Thonis-Heracleion wasn't just Egyptian. It was a crossroads where two great civilizations met and mingled. Greek artistry merged with Egyptian symbolism. Gods and goddesses were depicted in hybrid forms that reflected both worlds. It was a place of coexistence, a living bridge between East and West. Uncovering it required technology that earlier explorers could only dream of. Gaudio's team relied on a suite of advanced instruments, sonar imaging, magnetometers, and sub-bottom profilers, tools that transformed the ocean floor into a digital map. Understanding how these devices worked reveals just how complex underwater archaeology truly is. Because in the depths of the Mediterranean, nothing comes easy. Visibility is poor, pressure is immense, and every discovery demands patience, precision, and courage. It took centuries of myth and decades of science, but at last the lost city of Thonis-Heracleion had spoken, and its story was more astonishing than anyone had ever imagined. Told stories of gods, kings, and creation itself. Even after more than 1,000 years beneath the sea, many of those carvings remain astonishingly intact, as if the ocean had been guarding them all along. Inside the temple complex, archaeologists uncovered a treasure trove of sacred artifacts. Bronze statues of ancient gods once stood in alcoves where priests performed daily offerings. Stone altars still bore traces of ash and incense from rituals performed millennia ago. The hieroglyphs on walls and ceremonial objects whispered long-forgotten prayers, invocations to Amun, Isis, and Osiris that had not been read since the city sank. Each artifact revealed new insights into Egypt's deep spiritual world. The temple's treasury proved especially extraordinary. In 2023, Frank Gaudio's team retrieved an astonishing collection of ritual objects, gleaming vessels crafted from precious metals, sacred implements used in ceremonies, and offerings left by ancient worshippers seeking divine favor. Some of these items were inscribed with the names of specific pharaohs, providing archaeologists with precise timelines for different eras of the temple's use. But beyond its beauty and craftsmanship, the Temple of Amun-Gareb represented something even more profound, the fusion of religion and royal power. To the ancient Egyptians, the pharaoh wasn't just a ruler, he was a living god, the earthly embodiment of Ra, the sun deity. By journeying to this temple, perched where the Nile met the Mediterranean, pharaohs reaffirmed their cosmic duty to maintain the balance between heaven and earth, order and chaos, Egypt and the unknown world beyond. Thonis-Heracleion was more than a city. It was a living symbol, a bridge between two great civilizations, Egyptian and Greek. After Alexander the Great's conquest in 332 BCE, the city became a bustling crossroads where ideas, languages, and beliefs converged. Even its dual identity reflected that union. Thonis to the Egyptians, Heracleion to the Greeks, two names for one magnificent city. Its streets once echoed with a chorus of voices, Greek traders bargaining with Egyptian merchants, priests reciting hymns beside philosophers debating under marble colonnades. It was a place where East met West, and a new kind of world began to take shape. Religion in Thonis-Heracleion reflected this remarkable cultural blending. Instead of erasing local traditions, the Greeks sought parallels, merging deities and mythologies. Amun became Zeus, Hathor transformed into Aphrodite, and new hybrid gods emerged, combining the features of both pantheons. The city's temples embodied this harmony: Greek-style columns beside Egyptian pylons, hieroglyphs carved alongside Greek inscriptions, divine figures sculpted with blended aesthetics. Every structure was a dialogue between civilizations, carved in stone and sanctified by devotion. This fusion wasn't confined to temples alone. It infused daily life. Greek merchants brought their language, art, and trade goods, while Egyptians adapted, intermarried, and built families that spoke both tongues. Markets overflowed with spices from the Aegean, linen from Thebes, and wine from Rhodes. The blending of worlds created a unique Greco-Egyptian identity, vibrant, diverse, and deeply human. Of course, the balance wasn't always peaceful. The Greeks held positions of privilege, and tensions simmered beneath the surface. Yet, the city endured, bound together by necessity, faith, and the shared prosperity that came from being the beating heart of Mediterranean trade. Thonis-Heracleion became proof that, even in the face of cultural divide, coexistence could thrive, and in doing so, give birth to something entirely new. But the city's greatest claim to fame was its harbor, the lifeline of ancient Egypt's economy and its window to the world. Long before Alexandria rose to prominence, Thonis-Heracleion was Egypt's main gateway to the Mediterranean. Its port facilities were nothing short of engineering marvels. Beneath the waves, archaeologists have uncovered immense stone quays designed to host fleets of ships at once. Canals were carved with precision to guide vessels safely through shallow waters. Breakwaters shielded the docks from storms and tides. The entire harbor system demonstrated a profound understanding of hydraulics and marine engineering, centuries ahead of its time. Excavations in the harbor area revealed the haunting remains of ancient ships, some preserved almost perfectly, others resting in fragments. Many were merchant vessels that sank by accident, their cargo still lying nearby. Others appear to have been deliberately scuttled, perhaps as part of defensive barriers or even ritual offerings to the gods of the sea. Each wreck tells a story. Each anchor, amphora, and plank is a relic of the city's heartbeat, of trade, faith, and human ambition. Together, they weave a portrait of a civilization that thrived at the crossroads of continents, until the earth shifted and the sea claimed it for its own. Each shipwreck found off the coast of Thonis-Heracleion offers a priceless glimpse into the ancient world, a frozen moment in time that reveals shipbuilding techniques, cargo handling methods, and the vast maritime trade routes that once connected Egypt to the wider Mediterranean. Among the most thrilling discoveries was a military vessel from the TMIC period, a galley-type warship built for both sailing and rowing. Its sturdy frame and design spoke of speed, precision, and power. Ships like these once patrolled Egypt's coastline, defending it from pirates and foreign threats while standing as floating symbols of pharaonic authority. The discovery of warships in the harbor proved something extraordinary. Thonis-Heracleion wasn't just a commercial hub, it was also a naval base, a strategic fortress that safeguarded Egypt's maritime borders. From the silted seabed, archaeologists recovered a dazzling variety of artifacts: amphorae, coins, anchors, and tools, all remnants of a thriving global port. Amphorae carried wine from Greece, olive oil from Phoenicia, and spices from far-off lands. Each fragment told a story of international commerce, of wealth flowing through the city, and of Egypt's central role in a vast network of exchange that stretched across continents. For the merchants of Thonis-Heracleion, trade meant fortune. Their success filled both private treasuries and the royal coffers as Egypt collected customs duties on goods that passed through its mighty harbor. But beyond gold and grain, ideas also traveled here, new technologies, philosophies, and religious traditions brought by sailors, scholars, and pilgrims. Greeks came to worship at Egyptian temples, while Egyptian priests journeyed abroad to share their wisdom with the Hellenic world. This harbor was far more than a port. It was a crossroads of civilizations, where East met West and knowledge itself became the most valuable cargo. Yet, amid the grandeur of temples and monuments, some of the most revealing discoveries came from the humble remains of daily life. These everyday artifacts, tools, pottery, jewelry, toys, bring ancient Egypt down to a human scale, showing how people lived, worked, and dreamed in this once bustling city. Residential areas uncovered on the seabed reveal how citizens organized their homes. Modest single-room dwellings housed laborers and servants, while larger estates with courtyards and multiple chambers belonged to merchants and officials. Kitchens contained traces of food preparation, while workshops were filled with the tools of countless trades. To archaeologists, even broken pottery fragments are treasures. The design, material, and origin of each piece reveal a family's status, taste, and global connections. Egyptian clay pots used for daily cooking sat beside imported Greek ceramics, reserved for banquets, proof that life here blended practicality with luxury. Modern analysis of residue inside ancient pots even shows what people ate: grains, oils, and perhaps traces of wine or honey. Personal items tell even more intimate stories. Elegant cosmetic jars once held perfumed oils and pigments. Rings, necklaces, and bracelets reflected wealth and fashion. Children's toys carved from wood or bone remind us that even in this grand port city, children laughed and played just as they do today. The discovery of workshops and industrial zones revealed how Thonis-Heracleion powered its economy. Metalworkers forged bronze and gold into tools, ornaments, and sacred objects. Potters shaped endless ceramic vessels for storage and trade. Weavers spun thread and produced fine linen. Shipwrights repaired vessels that carried Egypt's lifeblood. Commerce. Every profession, every craft was a link in the chain that made the city flourish. The marketplaces were the city's heartbeat, alive with voices, bargaining, and the clatter of trade. Scales and weights ensured fairness, coins from multiple kingdoms circulated freely, and clay tablets recorded every deal. These small relics paint a portrait of a sophisticated economy, seamlessly connected to the ancient world's greatest centers of commerce. Yet, even after decades of exploration, Thonis-Heracleion still keeps its secrets. Only a fraction of the submerged city has been excavated, leaving vast areas waiting to be rediscovered. The cause of its disappearance remains one of archaeology's great mysteries. Did the city die slowly, consumed by rising waters and shifting sands? Or was it lost suddenly, swallowed by earthquakes and floods in a single cataclysmic event? Evidence suggests both. Gradual abandonment intertwined with sudden disaster. Even the city's relationship with nearby Canopus remains uncertain. Ancient records describe them variously as sister ports or as parts of one sprawling metropolis. The truth may lie somewhere in between. Adding to the enigma are the undeciphered inscriptions recovered from the seabed, fragmented tablets and sacred texts written in damaged or highly symbolic language. Within them may rest the final answers: who ruled the city in its last days, how it fell, and what its people believed as the waves closed over their world. Perhaps most fascinating is what still lies buried beneath the seabed: untouched chambers, royal tombs, or even ancient libraries waiting to rewrite history. The mystery of where Thonis-Heracleion's people went after their city's fall only deepens the intrigue. Did they flee to Alexandria or vanish into the Nile Delta's forgotten settlements? Whatever the truth, this lost city reminds us how much of human history still sleeps beneath the waves, silent, hidden, and waiting to be found. Recovering its treasures is only half the battle. Preserving them is a race against time. After centuries underwater, wood cracks, metal corrodes, and stone weakens the moment it meets air. Yet thanks to the dedication of modern archaeologists and conservators, the spirit of Thonis-Heracleion lives on, whispering stories from a world long vanished beneath the sea. And what do you think is still down there, waiting to be discovered? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible discoveries from the depths of history.